Hi, long time no see. I thought I was muted. I'm trying to find a good feed because Court TV sounds horrible. I don't know why there's so many people over there. Sounds awful, but I think Law and Crime is better. There's just no closed captioning. So we'll try it out instead. All right. Well, for those of you I haven't seen before, welcome to Lori Vallow, day 3, morning session. And we will do this till they go to lunch. Then I'm going to take a break because we just did a 3-hour stream on Eileen Warnos. And I texted my daughter and she said, I thought it was Thursday. She's just as messed up as I am. So, Lori, I got to be honest with you. She's not doing a horrible job for not being an attorney. Also not an attorney. So that's just my normal person take on it. But I haven't really seen anybody just rake her over the coals for what she's doing, which makes you wonder if what an attorney could have done with it. I don't think she got... The judge did admonish her yesterday, didn't yell, but he did admonish her yesterday to not make comments when she is questioning... when she's questioning witnesses, because she would ask them questions and then she would make comments afterwards. And he did tell her, don't, stop doing that, which she should not do that. An attorney would not be allowed to just, oh, okay, all right, make any, oh, really? Well, sometimes we do hear them, but you know what I mean. That's really the only thing I've heard the judge say to her. He kind of helped her out yesterday when she was trying to get around of how to ask a question because the state kept objecting. And I do think the state knows how to fluster her, because she will start sometimes rapid firing objections out. And that does, I think, fluster Lori. Last night in chat, there was quite a few that didn't think it was going well for the state with Lori's questioning of the man that was on the stand, who I think is back on the stand, but I can't remember his name. So sorry. So I don't know. We will see what happens. I think I do want to clear up, because I think I said it the first day, but I didn't want anybody to think last night that I didn't think this trial shouldn't happen. I thought it should happen from the get-go, and it does look like School for the Breakfast Club. I do think Charles Vallow deserves some justice. She did not unalive him, but I do think she had a hand in the planning of it. And I can't wait to start seeing some of these text messages and things like that that we heard about in openings. So I got to fast forward this just a little bit. Get some sunny Arizona weather for us that are stuck in cloudy cold. This is what Court TV sounds like. So this one was clearer because I listened to it. That dude, the intense stare down that made us all be quiet and chat and stop talking about yogurt yesterday, because he was staring at us like that, the dad stare, and we were scared. I know you said it, Flashing. You were just on everybody yesterday, but it's okay. No, I know you said it, but I was drained yesterday by the time that we got to the evening session, or just by the time I was tired, and I think I had said something that came out wrong. And so no, it wasn't you saying it. You saying it made me realize what I had said came out wrong, and I needed to clear it up. That's it. So you weren't harsh. I didn't take it as harsh. You didn't time me out on my own stream or anything. You'll live it down. Maybe, by the end of the week or something. Zach, what would you know about it? Oh my gosh, that's static. or the white noise, waiting for poltergeist to come through. Yeah, Zach wouldn't know anything about it. Just think of you and you'll know you're nice. Flashman, if we didn't love you and adore you, this wouldn't even be funny. We would just be mad, and we're not mad. And Zach was a great sport about it. Some people would not have been. Like, Stare Daddy up there. Good heavens. We are not that behind, are we? Annoying. Good grief. I'm going to do this and then they'll be talking. How about I just spare you guys the pain of it all? One second. We're almost there. I'll in. Yes, I turned on the audio. Did the court? No, but it's on now. I've only done that one time. Flashman, you weren't here yet. Gabby, do you remember the time I couldn't figure out why nobody could hear the court, but I had muted it in StreamYard. I forgot all about it. I could not figure it out. I was looking everywhere trying to figure out why nobody but me could hear it, because I could hear it just fine.
Cross-examination of this witness.
That was a funny day. That was so funny. Oh my gosh. Hello, Judge. Yes, this is the same guy from yesterday. She's still cross-examining him. I just can't remember his name. I'll put it up in a second.
Detective Coons, I know we didn't really establish yesterday. I know that you're retired. Is that okay if I call you Detective Coons, or would you prefer something else?
Detective is fine.
Okay, thank you. Detective Coons, yesterday you testified that no stippling was found as a result of the shot on my husband's chest. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, none was found.
Okay. So would it surprise you if the medical examiner expressed in his defense interview that there was stippling found in that shot?
Would it surprise me that he had found it? Not necessarily, based on the information.
Okay. Would it surprise you if the medical examiner expressed that the shooter would have had to be 2 to 4 feet away for that stippling to be present?
And this is from your interview or from the report?
From the interview.
Okay. No, that actually would still be consistent with my observations at the scene.
Okay, great. If someone very muscular like my husband were 2 to 4 feet away from you holding up a bat, would you consider that a threat?
And I would object to speculation, relevance.
Your Honor, I'm asking for his opinion as a professional and as a firearms expert.
He's not, okay.
That goes to the ultimate
hold on.
decision.
The objection is sustained and it calls for a legal conclusion.
It calls for a legal conclusion?
Yes, move on.
Were you present, Detective, when my husband was shot?
No, ma'am.
Is there a video recording of it?
To my knowledge, no.
So is your opinion then an educated guess about what really happened?
It's based on known facts.
Okay. Were you aware, Detective, that my husband and my brother were very good friends?
No, ma'am, I didn't know the relationship.
Did you know that they hung out and played golf together?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Your Honor, I'm going somewhere with this.
Oh, I
My
guess,
follow-up question will explain.
I guess you can answer if you knew that they played golf.
I did not know.
In all of your investigation of my life, you never came across this information?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Are you familiar with my husband's wishes for his funeral?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Did you learn in your investigation that he named my brother Alex as one of his 5 best friends?
And I'm going to object again to relevance.
Sustained.
Did you read the reports in this case?
I did not read all of the reports in this case. No, I've read mine and I've authored mine, but I have not read the other reports.
None of the other reports except for your own?
That's correct.
Okay. Detective, are you familiar with the follow-up report you wrote dated July 29th, 2019?
You're going to have to be a little bit more specific.
Did you review your reports in preparation for your testimony here today?
Yes, but I have not memorized the dates of when I made a report entry.
Okay. Would you like to see it to refresh your recollection?
That would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don't look, Gabby. You might see some funny walking again.
Okay.
Does that look like a true and correct copy of your report, Detective?
I believe it is.
And those Bates pages run from what to what, please?
They're obscured in the footnotes of it, but it looks like it's 126 through 131.
Okay. And on the last page of your report, on Bates page 131, you explain what a shored wound is.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you read that underlined portion?
I'm going to object to hearsay to reading it.
Sustained. You can ask him to explain what a shored wound is.
Okay. Can you explain to us what the shored wound is that you explained in your report?
Yes, a shored wound would be a wound created as an exit wound where the projectile is exiting the body and the body is either up against a firm surface or firm material like spandex type thing. That's how it's been explained to me.
Okay. That's fair. You said held in place by tight clothing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you, in fact, and it says in your report, did you, in fact, collect my husband's clothing?
Yes.
Okay. And you took the clothing, it says, to the property storage facility. Is that correct?
Yes, it went to a drying cage.
Okay. Detective, are you familiar with bamboo clothing?
I can't say that I am.
Okay. Were you aware that on July 29th, 2019, my husband was wearing a $200 bamboo workout shirt?
Objection, relevance.
He can answer if he knows.
I have no idea what the cost is.
Are you aware that bamboo is a heavy-duty fabric, not to rip or tear except under extreme conditions?
I've not done any research into bamboo fabric.
Okay.
I don't know if this is the same thing that my daughter-in-law talks about, but she talks about buying, well, she hasn't because they're expensive, but she had some given to her, but it's bamboo clothing and it's really nice. I don't know. I don't know that I've seen it yet. She showed it to me online. I was like, that's a lot to pay for a baby to wear for like a month. But you do you. So there, Zach can speak for it. I have not. Zach, I'll tell you all about it. You don't think you paid that much though? That is it's a pretty expensive shirt for me, I'm sitting here in my Carhartt, because that's what's around here. But yeah, I don't know. That's all I know about it. And I don't even know if that's the same thing.
So could this fabric of his shirt have caused the wound to be short?
It could have been a contributor, but would not have been in this particular case.
Why so?
The body would have been on the floor where the bullet defect was in the floor.
So you just said in your report earlier that a short wound could be caused by tight clothing. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you're saying that could not have happened in this case?
The shirt did not appear to be tight clothing to me.
Well, it was made of bamboo, as we established, right? Is that correct?
I am taking your word for it. I do not know that it's a bamboo shirt.
Okay. And you did not investigate that at all?
No, ma'am.
But you had the shirt in your possession?
It was seized as evidence, yes.
And you never checked what kind of fabric it was?
No, ma'am.
And you never checked if that could be a possibility?
No, ma'am.
And you knew that spandex was kind of a material that could make that kind of short mark that you just mentioned, correct?
It would have to be super tight clothing.
Super tight clothing?
Yes.
Or a fabric that's even stronger than the spandex that you mentioned?
The strength of the fabric, I don't believe, has a huge play in it unless it is form-fitting and compressing the skin, much like a hard surface or firm surface would.
Okay. But what you said in your report was that held in place by tight clothing could cause a short wound.
As has been explained to me, yes.
Okay. Detective, in your report, you mentioned let's see. So it is possible that his shirt could have caused the wound and not the fall.
I'm going to object to asked and answered.
I'll let him answer.
I don't know if it's possible or not for that particular shirt to have caused a short wound,
Because you did not do any investigation about the shirt.
because the shirt did not appear to be form-fitting and very tight.
Did it cover over the shoulder where the wound was?
It was a full t-shirt at the time.
That's what I'm saying. So was the t-shirt where the wound was on his back, where the bullet exited, was his shirt covering that part of his body?
Certainly.
Okay. Was there a hole in the shirt at that location?
Yes, ma'am.
How big was the hole?
The size of the bullet.
So small. Small.
Fabric stretches and contracts. So it was a bullet size.
Okay. So when you had this shirt and you saw the bullet hole, it was after the shirt had been cut off by the firefighters. Is that correct?
It hadn't been cut off. It had been cut down the middle, down the front,
So just the front was cut. So the back was intact?
minus the defects that we have seen from the bullet exits, yes.
Okay. So you were able to measure that. Do you have a measurement for those bullet holes in the shirt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So it is possible that his shirt could have caused the wound, the short wound.
Object again that we've asked and answered this 3 times
Sustained.
now.
Okay, so is it possible that any shirt could have caused a short wound in any kind of,
And I'm going to object to foundation as to any overly broad.
as an expert?
Let me roll on the objection.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'll sustain the objection.
As an expert and in your professional opinion, could that fabric of his shirt that he was wearing that day cause a short wound?
Again, I'm going to object to asked and answered multiple times.
Sustain.
In the last paragraph of your report, Detective, you indicate that you were able to confirm your suspicion of the body position at the scene. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you mean by suspicion?
Well, at the time, I couldn't see through his body to see the full trajectories, so I did need the information from the autopsy. The trajectory rods helped with that, as well as the doctor's statements. All of that combined did give me the 2 different bullet paths.
Okay. And then can you tell me, Detective, what happened to my husband's shirt? Do you know where it is now?
It is in evidence, as far as I'm aware.
And it's, when you looked at it, where was it?
The last I physically saw that shirt was when I handed it off to a crime scene tech to put into a drying cage with the instructions, once it was dry, to have it moved into the property facility.
And so did you see it after it was in the property facility?
No, ma'am, I have not.
So you saw it before it was dried, is that correct?
While it was wet from the medical examiner's office, yes.
And that's when you examined it?
I had seen it at the scene as well.
And then, did you ever examine it?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you saw it twice.
That's fair.
Okay. So you didn't test it for anything?
I did not.
Did anyone test it for anything
I
that
do
you're
not
aware of?
know.
That you're aware of?
I do not know.
So you're not aware of it?
Correct. I do not know if anybody else tested it.
Okay. Was the wood floor tested for any fragments of the projectile?
It was actually seized, so it was not tested.
And what does seized mean?
We cut it out of the floor and kept it.
Right, and then was it tested after it was seized?
No, ma'am.
So the wood floor plank that was taken from my residence was never tested for any fragments of the projectile?
The projectile was intact minus a deformity to it.
Okay. But there wasn't any reason, are you saying there was no reason to test it?
There had been no implication or indication that there was a request for it to be tested.
And you wouldn't do that to see if the projectile actually hit the floor?
No, ma'am. All the other circumstances and information that led up to that decision to seize the floor, everything appeared that it was going to be related to the actual bullet that passed through your husband's body and struck the floor.
Wouldn't testing the floor actually be the easiest way to be sure that the bullet hit the floor?
Not necessarily would it leave anything behind. Like I said, the bullet was a full metal jacket. It was still intact.
Mhm.
There had been a significant amount of blood that had pooled in it. I do not know if there would be residue left behind in it for testing.
Fair. Okay. Was the projectile tested for any marks from the floor?
No, ma'am.
Were you aware that this was a rental house that we lived in?
I believe I'd heard that.
Okay. Were you aware that we had only lived there for about 3 weeks prior to this incident?
I knew it was a short time period, but I did not know the actual duration.
Did you know that? You know that by the time you wrote this report, right?
I don't recall knowing the exact time frame that you had lived there.
Okay. So the defect in the floor of the rental house that we lived in could have already been there before this incident. Is that correct?
Not in my opinion, no.
But it could have.
An objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
Sustained.
So of all the divots that we saw yesterday in the pictures on the floor, it could not have been there beforehand?
Again, asked and answered.
I'll let him answer. Go ahead.
The divots I believe you're referring to were extremely smaller than the actual defect, which was still relatively fresh and not sealed like the other divots were.
Okay, can we see?
What's up, Carmen? Oh, I hope Flashman didn't go eat. Well, Hank came to say hi to you too, with this big loud breathing. Flashman, if you're not watching, Carmen says, just going to stick with a simple hello today. Don't need Flashman timing me out for 30 minutes. I don't know how she found that news out. Must be everywhere. Extra, extra, read all about it. Flashman times out Zach. In a bold move. Ow. Okay.
These were previously published, so we can use them, right?
Yeah.
Can we look at
Just
this?
refer to the exhibit number, please.
Okay. Just put it on. Detective, can you see that? I can't see that very well from there. So in Exhibit 57, Detective,
I'm looking.
this, where my pin is pointing,
Yes, ma'am.
that's the defect that you're referring to where the bullet struck. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And these defects were already previously at the residence. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do they look that much significantly different than that to you?
Yes, they do.
What do you think the measurement difference in that is, in your professional opinion?
There is no scale in this photograph. It would be difficult for me to give you an estimate.
So in your estimation, this defect is much larger than this defect. Is that correct?
The second defect you're pointing to appears to be wood grain indentations. The other is an actual defect in the board.
Okay. Thank you. But this defect, this piece of wood that was cut out, was not tested. Is that correct?
Again, asked and answered.
Technically correct, but I'll let him answer.
Correct. To my knowledge, it was not tested.
Thank you. So do you know, Detective, for a fact, that the defect on my wood floor was caused by the second bullet?
And again, I'm going to object to asked and answered.
Sustained.
When we looked at the projectiles yesterday, the one from the baseboard clearly had white paint on it from the baseboard. Is that correct?
Baseboard or the drywall, perhaps.
Okay, but we all saw the white paint. Is that correct?
There was a white marking on it.
Was that tested for the white paint?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
There was no decision made to have it tested.
Because it was logical that it was in the baseboard where the baseboard was painted white, right?
It was very clear that it had passed through your husband and lodged in the baseboard. And upon recovery, there was no deformation to it, indicating that it was a straight-on impact or relatively close, so that it embedded itself into the baseboard.
Correct. So it wasn't tested because it really didn't need to be, in your opinion.
Correct.
Okay, that's fair. Next, we looked at the projectile that, according to you, made the defect in my wood floor. Is that correct?
I don't understand your question. Next, we look at it, but I don't see anything.
Oh, we saw the projectile. Can I find out what exhibit that was?
How long before the judge reminds her not to make her comments like he said yesterday? I don't think she can help it. Okay. And then she's like, well, thank you. Okay. She's going to get in trouble. I don't know. That was my question to Carmen, what Flashman said. Well, do they know of the others? He said, you think she'll have a hard time getting not guilty strictly because of her other convictions? I'm sure there are people out there that don't know anything about her other convictions, because there's people that just don't watch this stuff. So I don't know. I think she was doing better yesterday than she's doing today. She's done well overall. I can't compare the two Flash fan between her and, you asked me who, and Ty, because it was just completely different. And like his opening statement was way better than the state's. Her opening statement was not. So they both have had stronger points. And yeah, it is probably her saying okay and thank you is probably fine. Her saying I didn't know that with a little tone is not okay. And she's got a little tone to her today. So I think she should bring that down.
Your paralegal has all those photographs.
Can we use the actual
Yeah,
exhibit?
she can approach and.
Okay.
Carmen, she's not allowed to approach. She has a stun belt on. Just FYI. Nobody's allowed to approach except the paralegals who apparently have no first names or last names.
Are you looking for the actual projectile?
Yes.
She's very aggressive today. And that sometimes that plays well and sometimes that doesn't. I don't even know if Carmen's still here. She probably left. She's feeling better, but she's not well. No, that sounded bad. Y'all know what I'm talking about. She's been sick. Gabby's going to be sad she missed her.
You want her to hand that to the witness?
Is that 239?
Oh, you
Check
did.
for the record, you're looking at Exhibit 239, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What are we having for dinner? Sorry, you guys. I don't mean to keep pausing. Hey, Kelly. I hope you are feeling better. I was wondering about you, and thank you for responding to me because I was worried. Know where you were. Didn't know if a tornado took you away or flood took you away, but that just turned out it was the flu.
And is that the projectile that we are talking about that you claimed made the divot in my wood floor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So was that projectile was not tested, is that correct?
Your Honor,
Is that what
I'm
you
going to
said?
object to asked and answered at least 3 times.
Sustained.
Does that projectile look pristine to you?
No, ma'am. As I've previously testified, it is slightly deformed.
What side is it deformed on? What part about it is deformed?
The back end heel area is compressed a little bit so that it's now oval as opposed to circular.
And that would indicate what?
That would indicate that as the bullet struck something firm on its side, it compressed and then it continued on moving.
Okay. So that's what you mean by a shored wound. It hit up against something. Is that correct?
The terminology as it's been described to me is it's the skin is against a firm surface. So in this particular case, the floor would be the firm surface. So as it's entering or exiting your husband and starting to try to enter the floor is forcing the bullet to kind of ricochet, but the body's still keeping it in place. So it's now deforming a little bit and it's still expending its energy to escape from underneath the body.
Okay. And if my husband was in fact laying on the floor, how did it get out from under his body? Wouldn't it have gotten stuck under? That's my question. Just
what?
could you explain that to me?
I think I just did. So the bullet is a full metal jacket. It still has its energy until it starts striking things to cause resistance to it to slow it down. It's going to expend its energy at a normal rate. I think I just lost the mic. I'm not sure.
No, no.
Okay. When it starts striking firm objects, then it'll start bleeding the energy away. And in this particular case, as it's exiting your husband's body, it's impacting bone, it's impacting the flesh that's compressed against the floor, and it's impacting the floor now. So there's going to be a lot of resistance against that. Now, where it exited, it's still not free to just fly like the one that went through his chest and out the back. It's still semi-trapped between your husband's body and the floor. So that's going to cause even more energy drain until it comes to rest.
And how far away from my husband's shoulder was that bullet fragment found? The projectile, I guess.
When it was found, I don't know the exact measurement away from it. I would say a foot or more, maybe.
Okay, so that's what you're talking about the energy. It still had energy to keep moving. Is
Yes.
that correct?
It had enough to escape from being under the body.
Okay. So because of what you saw at the scene, and you state in your report that it was your suspicion that that's what had happened, was that my husband was supine on the floor. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So was it your suspicion from the start of this investigation that led you to not confirm any other alternative?
What other alternative, ma'am? My job was to collect the information and put it together with the information that was being collected in the interviews. The information from the interviews did not completely match everything that I had learned at the scene.
Okay. Well, let's see. You did not test the wood floor, is that correct?
I'm going to object again to asked and answered multiple times.
Sustained.
You did not test the projectile, is that correct?
I'm going to again object to asked and answered multiple times, and I'm going to move to start striking every question.
Sustained.
You did not investigate my husband's shirt.
And object again to asked and answered multiple times.
Sustained.
Did you call Aloha Carolina and ask them about the fabric of my husband's shirt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So would it be fair to say that you made an assumption early on and only investigated the things that supported that assumption?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Remember in your report where you stated that the bullet strike to the abdomen had an upward trajectory passing through the left lung before exiting near the left shoulder.
Yes.
Okay. Could that upward trajectory have been caused by my husband falling backwards and the bullet hitting the abdomen and going upwards and exiting his shoulder as he hit the floor?
No, not in my opinion.
Okay. Detective Coons, on July 11th, 2019, were you at the Chandler Police Department during my interview?
No, ma'am.
Were you there that morning when we were brought into the Chandler Police Department at all?
No, ma'am, I was at the scene.
Okay. I thought you didn't get to the scene until 11:45.
No, that was when we actually obtained the search warrant. It was about a little after 11:45. I was already at the scene shortly after 9 o'clock.
Okay. Did you see the injury on the back of Alex's head with your own eyes?
I did not take a close look at it. I saw the paper towel that he was holding against his head.
But you did not see the wound itself?
No.
Okay. Are you aware if Alex's hands were swabbed for gunshot residue?
There would have been no reason to swab for gunshot residue.
Why is that?
He had already stated that he was the shooter.
He had stated it?
To my knowledge, that's how the information was provided to me.
Okay. Are you aware if my hands were swabbed for gunshot residue?
I am not.
Okay. Are you aware if my daughter's hands were swabbed for gunshot residue?
I am not.
Do you know for a fact that Alex shot the gun in question?
Based on the information provided, that is what I have, yes.
So you know that for a fact?
Just with the information that's been provided. I can't tell you one way or another if there's another shooter because the evidence does not show that there was.
Okay. So all you really know for sure, after your 5 years of investigation, is that my husband was shot 2 times, 1 by that particular gun, 2 with those particular bullets, at my residence, and that he passed away as a result of that. Would that be correct?
Oversimplified, there is a lot more information that is available to us for that.
Is that correct? Is that question correct?
Those are some known facts, yes, but that is not all we know.
So you can't really tell me for sure who shot him, can you?
Well, as we've established, I was not present when it happened. I can only go with the facts of what people have said and what the evidence shows.
Okay. You don't really know what time he was shot, do you?
Actually, no, I don't.
Okay. You don't really know if he was falling back or lying supine on the floor, do you?
Yes, I do.
You don't really know what time my husband actually passed away, do you?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Thank you. No more questions.
All right, redirect.
Your Honor, I still have stuff that she
You
gave.
can pass those to, let's have your paralegal get the report that you gave him, but I'll take exhibit 239, is it?
It's not my cup of tea, Flash Man. I don't like it. For the 99% of the time, I don't like it when people get that way, either side. Lawyers or not. But I just don't think it's a good approach for her.
Do you need any of the photos? They're over there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. All right, Detective, I know we started yesterday, so I'm going to kind of go back through a few different areas, all
Oh,
right?
gosh.
In terms of just understanding your role working with crime scene techs, you had testified yesterday that they are often the ones who actually pick up the item of evidence and put it in a bag, correct?
Frequently, yes.
Are you there observing them as they do that?
Yes.
You're not just wandering around outside drinking a coffee while they're processing the house?
No, ma'am.
So every item that we brought in is something that you observed, you were there as they were documented and collected.
Correct.
And some of them, like the gun, you actually had to make safe before it could be collected.
Actually, Detective Duncan is the one that made it safe, but I was present for those things.
You were asked about the backyard being searched. When you have other people searching the house, and I think you'd said it was a collaborative event, if someone observes something, do they bring it to your attention as the scene agent?
Yes, if I'm asking somebody to do a search for me to help out with a larger area, it is their responsibility to bring it forward to me if they discover something that they think is important.
And if they see something, you would then go out and observe it yourself?
Yes.
We had talked about the gun yesterday and the ejection report. See if this will be visible here. What do we see right here?
So that is the ejection port.
So when we're talking about how this, how a semi-automatic gun works, and you were talking about the ejection to the right, is that in this gun indicated by the opening where that ejection port is, the side that it's on of the gun?
The opening is part of how it'll indicate where it ejects. Also, the extractor, which is a small lever behind the ejection port, is what grabs the casing to pull it out. And internally, there's going to be an ejector that it's usually a small pinpoint that kicks it, and the springs basically flip it out.
So all of that was what made you understand which way the casings would have ejected out of this gun.
Yes.
Now, you told us that that every gun can be slightly different if it's more upward, more outward, and you are unaware for this gun what that ejection would be like.
Correct.
I'm going to go back to your diagram. This is Exhibit 5. Are you able to, by looking at the measurements that you took, give us an estimate of the distance between those two casings that you have listed here as 9 and 10?
My estimation would be a couple feet.
And I guess, would your measurements, did you take measurements of where those were?
I took measurements from the reference points to triangulate it, but I did not measure distance between each object to the other objects.
So the measurements that we see, I'm going to take it out of here. On the second page of your report, are those triangulations that you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So are we able to extrapolate from this any distance between those two, or we are left with what you recall at this point?
You're left with what I recall, but I also, on my diagram, I put a reference line or dimension line. It's near the north-south indicator, and that helps somebody who's looking at it get an idea of what a measurement might be in the diagram.
Okay. And is that this line up here?
Correct.
There was a lot of questions about where the shooter might have been at the time when this shooting occurred. Start with 19 while I look for a different perspective. But in this house, you've talked about a rounded wall. Can you tell us where you're talking about for that? And I'm going to put it 14. So on 14, what is this rounded wall that you're talking about when you're referring to the location or potential location, let me say the general location of the shooter?
So the rounded wall is at the south end of the main room that we're in, where the body's at. And it's also directly across from the hallway that runs to the 3 bedrooms and the hall bathroom.
So is that this wall that we see in Exhibit 14 right here?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, when we are talking about a gun being fired and casings ejecting, as someone who has fired guns before, have you fired them on where the casings are landing on a hard surface?
Yes,
Do casings bounce and roll?
they do.
So is the location of these casings, do they tell us exactly where they initially landed when they ejected?
No,
This is just where they ended up or stopped.
it's where we found them.
They could have been kicked at some point as well.
Yes.
When you are looking at this scene, are you relying upon these physical items of evidence to reach your opinion?
They would be some of it, yes.
And then are you relying on your training and experience in conjunction with observing the physical evidence as well as the injuries to Charles?
That would also be good pieces of the puzzle.
And are you able to give us the exact location of this shooter?
No, ma'am.
Are you giving us a general area of the shooter?
Yes, ma'am.
And for the shot that goes through Charles's chest and out his back, where is the general area that you are saying the shooter was located?
The shooter would have been located somewhere in the opening to where the kitchen and the hallway is, in close proximity to the rounded corner as well.
Okay, I put up Exhibit 16 here. So somewhere in this area?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you were asked a lot about the autopsy report and stippling. You were provided with a copy of it by the defendant, correct?
It was never provided to me.
You weren't allowed to look at a copy of it?
The report that she gave me was my report from the channel report system, not the medical examiner.
Have you ever looked at the autopsy report?
I have.
Did you, in regards to the injury to Charles's chest, the entrance wound, ever see the word stippling used there?
No, it was not in the report.
When you were reading that, did you interpret the way that Dr. Baumgartner wrote that to mean abrasions related to the actual entrance wound of the gunshot?
That's how I interpreted it.
Does that mean that Dr. Baumgartner didn't mean stippling?
I don't know medical jargon so well, so he could have very well meant it with how he wrote it, but to me, it did not come across that way.
Okay. And when you were at the autopsy, you don't recall him ever telling you about the stippling?
Not in that word, no.
But you were there at the autopsy, correct?
Yes, I was.
Are you in the room with him, like right there next to him?
No, we are actually mandated to stay in the, I guess it's the viewing area of that particular location.
There's a window between you and he's in a different room?
Yes.
So you also were asked about Dr. Baumgartner saying in a defense interview that because of this, what you've now been told is stippling around that gunshot wound to the chest, that the shooter or the gun being used could have been 2 to 4 or so feet away. Do you recall being told that?
Yes, I do.
All right. I have a little thing here, 24 inches. So 2 feet is 24 inches.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't know if I can approach or if I have to have my,
Go ahead.
thank you. So when we're talking about 2 feet, then from the wound on his chest,
The indicator would be from the muzzle to the chest.
so that distance is 2 feet.
Yes.
Understanding that
I tell ya,
additional information that the defendant provided you,
he's all good.
that Dr. Baumgartner advised during a defense interview, does that alter your opinion in any way as to where the shooter would have been, the general location of the shooter for this shot to his chest?
No, it actually makes sense with the completed trajectory that ended up in the baseboard.
So those being 2 feet away from Charles Vallow when the end of the gun to his chest did not seem so far away that, or so close that it didn't fit in with your opinion.
Yeah, 2 to 4 feet would be certainly consistent with what I saw.
So he's 2 to 4 feet away from him in this area.
Away from that area, yes.
I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the floor itself that you observed underneath Charles's shoulder after he was removed, okay? I'm putting up Exhibit 244. That's the actual piece of wood. And Your Honor, can I actually publish this to the jury and have them
Yes.
look at it? Thank you. And I can have just all of them look at that, and then I'll ask a couple questions.
You guys can tell that it's 3:30 because my dogs are expecting their dinner. That's why they're in here constantly. That's what I go through in the morning with them. In and out, in and out. So they're like, hit their heads on me while they're waiting for me to get up to get their breakfast. And they know when 3:30 comes and they want their dinner. I have to wait. All right, what is she? Nah, it's fine because they'll wait till after this shouldn't, they should break for lunch soon. Oh, they have a schedule. For sure. But they keep trying to bump the morning schedule back. No way. Is she going around and showing everybody the 2-foot measurement? What is she doing?
So detective, in looking at the floor itself, you told us that you looked through the whole floor in that room to see if you found any similar types of defects, correct?
Correct.
Did you find other defects on the floor, just period?
There are other imperfections.
You had testified on cross that there was something about the freshness of the defect itself. Were you able to sort of feel a difference in the wood grain, where that indentation is that we see in Exhibit 59 and in the actual piece 244, than you observed in other defects across the floor?
Yes, it did appear to be different than the other imperfections or defects.
Was there anything about the defect itself that indicated a path of travel?
Yes, there is a kind of a linear mark to it, and you'll also see at the in this particular photograph of it, there's like a slight semicircular edge as it exits towards the top right.
And was there anything about that pattern itself, both the depth, the freshness, the location of it, that made you feel it was consistent with a bullet strike?
All of those factors help make it consistent with it, not to mention the location of the projectile that was in close proximity to this defect.
So let's talk a little bit about those projectiles. I'm putting Exhibit 40 up here. Do we see the projectile over here next to Charles Vallow?
Yes.
Now, were you aware when you were given this scene that fire had already been there?
Yes, I was.
Pretty obvious because of all the medical devices, right?
They left a tail.
And if you were advised that fire has testified that they rolled Mr. Vallow onto his right side towards the west, would that have then exposed his left shoulder there?
They should have.
Do you know whether or not that bullet was ever moved at all personally?
Well, I have no idea what the condition of that bullet was until I physically saw it.
Okay. Now, the location of this bullet here on the floor next to Charles, why is that significant in determining whether or not Charles was upright or down?
Well, it's significant because for this particular shot, he would have basically been vulnerable, if you will.
Let me ask it this way. Why is that significant in making your opinion that he was on the floor versus upright for the shot to the abdomen?
Oh, okay. The angle of entry into the abdomen and exit is not consistent with him being upright or any other way other than lying on the floor. The defect is where the defect is, and the bullet, as demonstrated with the chest shot, had enough energy to exit. And had he been any other direction, I would not have expected the defect to be right underneath the body.
So if someone is standing and someone's on the floor shooting upward, where would the bullet go?
Well, if he's standing and the shooter is horizontal, then the bullet would go towards the ceiling or high wall area.
So this idea that it would end up on the floor below him and right next to him, would that fit with that scenario?
Of him standing, no.
When you're looking at the bullets and the location of them in this scene, we had that other projectile, I'm going to put 20 up here, that went into the baseboard on the east side of the room, correct?
Yes.
When you talk about someone being standing upward and the bullet being slowed, can you explain to us how this bullet landing over here and embedding itself in that baseboard is consistent with Charles being standing upright when he was shot?
It fits the dimension of the room. It fits the wound path through the chest and exiting the back, because the exit is lower than the entry. So there's already a downward motion to it. I know that the bullet struck the spine prior to exiting, so that would bleed even some more energy from it and potentially cause it to start dropping as well.
So the wound itself was slightly downward.
Yes,
And then given the distance away from Charles, this would be in your mind consistent with having gone through him in that chest to back exit downward angle.
correct.
So that really only left one other bullet in the room to explain the other injury,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's the one that was right next to him.
Correct.
You were asked whether or not you made assumptions about the shooting, how it occurred. When you got to the scene, you were given a basic briefing, right?
Yes.
How do you start looking at a scene when you're observing the evidence there?
I do an overall assessment of the scene. I apply the initial information that's given to me, and I progress from there.
Are you, if the physical evidence is what it is, are you trying to find a new way to make that work?
No, I let the evidence speak for itself.
So here, the physical evidence is one bullet is in the baseboard, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so that had to come from somewhere that makes sense for that trajectory, right?
Yes,
And then the other bullet is right next to Charles.
correct.
And so again, you're looking at all the physical evidence and how that fits together.
Yes.
And in this case, in your opinion, the shot through Charles's chest that exited his back, did the evidence support to you that he was standing up for this shot?
Yes.
And in your opinion, looking at all the physical evidence from the casings, the projectile, the injuries to Charles, was that consistent with the shooter? And now that you know the stippling, with the shooter being still in that sort of kitchen hallway-ish area when he fired that shot at Charles?
Yes.
And in your opinion, again, looking at the casings, the injuries to Charles, the location of the projectile, as well as the shored wound and the lack of stippling, does that support your opinion that Charles was on the ground when he was shot in the abdomen?
Yes, it does.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Are there any questions for this witness from the jury? I'm not seeing any. You can step down. They can call its next witness.
If I may go get her.
Kind of. I got nothing to say on any of that, except for the state spent a lot of time on him. I'm sure they have their reasons, and I'm not going to speculate what. To me, she's got to establish that she didn't have a hand in orchestrating this, but they're not to that part of the evidence, I guess. I don't know. I think it was a little bit more exciting.
All right, come on up. You're going to stand right here and be sworn in.
And yes, Vallow's being a little aggressive today. She
All
had
right,
her
you're gonna
meeting.
come around the court reporter. Have a seat up here to my left.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, my name's Nancy Jo Hancock.
And do you go by Nancy Jo?
I do.
How old are you?
61.
And do you currently work?
I'm self-employed
Do you live here in Arizona?
in Mesa, yes.
You born and raised here?
Born and raised here.
Do you have your own children?
5,
Do you have grandchildren?
15,
Busy person.
yes.
I'm going to direct you to a person by the name of Charles Vallow. Did you ever meet a person by that name?
I did.
How did you meet him?
I'm divorced. I was on an LDS dating site, and when new members join, it tells you this is someone new. And he sent me a message, and we began messaging.
Initially, did you just talk to him through, do you talk through the website? How does that work?
Through the website at first, and then he asked for my phone number, and then we were texting and talking on the phone as well.
Do you recall approximately when you met him?
It was early July, I believe the 3rd.
And so you said you guys would text. Was this,
A lot.
what's a lot to you?
Charles was a texter and a talker, and he was good at banter, and there were hundreds of texts by the time I had met him.
You said you talked on the phone with him as well?
For hours,
Did you have a conversation with him once that lasted almost 3 hours?
probably more than one, yes.
When you met Charles in early July, did you know he was still married?
He told me he was in the process of a divorce.
Okay. Did you know whether or not he was living with his wife at that time?
He was in Houston. His soon-to-be ex-wife was here. When he came to Arizona, he was meeting a realtor to find a place to live when he was here as well.
So when you're first meeting him, he's out of state, but he has a connection here to Arizona, so you keep talking to him?
Correct.
As you guys are talking and texting, did you eventually have enough interest that you decided you wanted to meet him?
Yeah.
Did you know what Charles did for a living?
Life insurance is something with money. I try not to have that be the focus when I'm getting to know somebody, so that I get to know them for them and not what they do for a living.
So you didn't really care too much about
No.
what his job was?
No.
Did you know he traveled a lot for work?
Yes.
As you and Charles are talking and texting, just sort of yes or no, can you tell us, did he get very detailed about his life with you?
Yes.
Did you know if Charles had children?
Yes.
Just yes or no again, did you talk to him about his wife specifically?
A lot.
Did he mention his wife by name?
Yes.
What did you believe his wife's name was?
Lori Vallow.
Have you ever met Lori Vallow?
No.
Again, just sort of yes or no. Did Charles talk to you about why?
Objection, leading.
Objection.
I haven't heard the question yet. Go ahead.
So just yes or no. Did Charles talk to you about why? he
Leading
was
is yes or no.
No, leading is a question that suggests the answer, so she can answer yes or no.
So again, just yes or no. Did Charles talk to you about why he was separated from his wife?
Yes.
Based upon your discussions, how long did you think there had been issues going on between Charles and his wife?
For several months, but more intensely since the beginning of that year was 2019. So since the beginning of that year.
You told us that Charles talked to you let me ask you, yes or no, did he talk to you in great detail about his relationship with Lori Vallow?
Yes.
You told us you met on an LDS dating site, right?
Correct.
So are you a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
I am.
Was there anything that you were hearing that you thought were outside of your beliefs?
A lot of things.
As Charles was telling you these things about his wife, can you tell us his demeanor? What his voice was like, what his attitude was like as he's talking about that?
I just remember thinking that he was strangely calm and still kind towards Lori, even through what they were going through.
You told us you were aware he had a child.
I hope. Are you saying it gets better?
Did you know where that child lived, who the child lived with?
Yes.
Who was that?
Also,
He was
good
living with
to see you.
Lori at that time.
You have.
He had older children as well, but the young one was living with Lori.
you have these conversations with Charles about his wife and these things that to you seem outside the LDS religion. Why do you keep talking to him?
Well, he was very charming and kind and funny and very clever, really good banter. A lot of craziness going on around him, but he seemed pretty awesome.
Now, you guys had just known each other.
All right, I'm going to take your word on it because I'm about to fall asleep. You just missed the dogs. They've been in and out of here all day. But yeah, this one, I think it's because it's like cloudy and crappy outside. All right, I'm excited now.
Each other for a few days. Did you think you and Charles were exclusive?
Heavens no.
So would you be surprised to learn that he was talking to other people on other websites?
Not at all.
Did he in fact share some of that with you?
He did. He shared some pictures of some woman that had sent him that were quite scanty, and then proceeded to ask him for money, and thought how funny that was, that that's what people were doing online.
Did you eventually meet Charles in person?
I did.
And how many times did you get to meet him in person?
Just once.
What day was that?
He was flying in from Houston, and we had arranged to go to dinner that night. His plane was delayed, and so I met him that night on the 10th of July.
July 10th, was that 2019?
Correct.
And was that then here in Arizona that you met?
It was.
You said that you had original plans to meet and they got pushed back?
Yeah, his plane was delayed, so we met a little later than we were supposed to.
Where did you guys meet? What did you do?
At the Keg restaurant by Santan Mall, and we ate, but we talked until the restaurant closed. We were the last people there.
So you shut the place down?
We did. I finally looked around and I realized that we were the only ones there, and told them we probably should leave. And then we went outside and talked by my truck for another 45 minutes or so.
Based upon everything you had heard, was Charles coming in to see you, or was there some other reason he was in Arizona?
Charles was ecstatic to see JJ. He was coming to see JJ, so excited to take him to school the next morning. He was also coming to look for a place to live. He had an appointment to meet a realtor friend after he had taken JJ to school. And then he was also supposed to meet with Lori's brother, Adam.
No crying or laughing this time in a while.
So you and Charles had this evening on the 10th. Were you going to meet again?
Yeah, we were supposed to meet up in the late afternoon after he got through with the things that I just said.
So did you have a set time for the next
No.
day?
Mm-mm.
Can you describe Charles? Was he a fit man? What was his size?
Very fit and into physical fitness. And while we were talking, I know that he was swimming. I got to go to the gym, and yeah, very, very fit, strong.
When you were talking with Charles on July 10th that evening, let me ask first, do you recall about what time you ended up meeting him?
It was around 7. I got there first, and but it was right around 7, between 7 and 7:15, I'd say.
And do you recall about how long you guys were together until you finally
Well, the
left?
restaurant closed at 10, and they were closed, and no one else was there. So it was after that we left, and then, like I said, we stood by my truck and talked for another half hour, 45 minutes after that.
So a later evening.
Yes.
Can you tell us, you said that you understood he was going to go see his son. What was his demeanor about with regards to JJ and seeing his son?
Like a kid on Christmas morning, he was very excited to see JJ.
You had talked about his demeanor when he would talk about his wife. On that evening or ever, did you ever hear him swear or use derogatory names or anything like that towards Lori Vallow?
I was surprised with the details that he was describing to me, how kindly he still spoke about Lori, and his hope was that she would be a great mom for JJ.
Did that stand out to you?
A lot.
Why?
Most men that you date are not nearly so kind about their ex and describe them in more derogatory ways and don't speak so kindly. And I remember just thinking how odd in a good way it was that he was not speaking in a derogatory way about Lori.
So that made an impression on you.
It did.
During any of your conversations with Charles, did you ever learn that he had a life insurance policy?
I did.
As you are talking, did Charles really just tell you a lot about his life?
A lot about his life, yes.
were you almost surprised at the amount of detail of his life that you learned?
Yeah.
Did you understand whether or not any changes had been made by Charles to the life insurance policy?
He told me that he had changed his beneficiary to his sister Kay. And as he was proceeding to tell me some of the things that were going on, I suggested to him that maybe he should let Lori know that he had changed the beneficiary on his life insurance to Kay.
Why would you tell him that?
Because of the things that he was describing to me and his concerns for his safety and the thought that money would come into play.
Do you recall where you were when you made that suggestion to Charles?
We were sitting at dinner at the Kay.
So this is on July 10th.
Correct.
What was his demeanor like when you told him that?
He kind of chuckled and said that he probably should. Said that was a good idea.
You told us that you don't know Lori Vallow, correct?
I do not.
Would it be fair to say that you sort of have no beef in this case?
I have no beef in this case.
Do you know any of Charles's family back then?
No,
Any of Lori Vallow's family back then?
no.
When you, I guess, left Charles after talking in the parking lot that evening, you told us that you had sort of unformalized plans to see Charles the next day.
Correct.
Was there like someone would call someone, or how was that supposed to go?
He just said that he needed to do the things that I said, have a morning with JJ, find a place to live, meet up with Lori's brother Adam, and then we would meet up somewhere for a late lunch or something.
Did you ever try to reach him on July 11th?
I did.
Did you try texting him ever?
Around 11-ish in the morning, I texted him and asked how his morning with JJ had been.
Did you get a response back?
I did not.
Did you try calling him?
A couple hours later, I called once, yes.
Did you get a call back?
I did not.
What were you thinking when you didn't hear from Charles after you spent this night?
I was puzzled how I had misread what I had thought been a good date so wrong that he would not even take the courtesy to reply. Wondered why, but just figured that was what his decision was.
So on July 11th, when you're not hearing back from Charles, did you know that he had been shot and killed?
No.
Hello, Ada. Oh, sorry. My dog he wants dinner and he keeps flinging my head. This is what I put up with. I keep telling you guys every morning, Rue, then Hank. Hera does not bother me. She waits on the top of the stairs. But yeah, we're trying to just catch up. I'm going to take a break. And also, I'm a little surprised too that he was dating because they were just separated. Like, take some time, people. When you break up, you don't need to hook up right away. Rue was actually the one that you couldn't see that I was petting. Hera came in, but Hank was here, so she couldn't get over. She couldn't get over to see me. Rue is Carmen's dog that stays with me because she's in Texas and I'm in Indiana. All right, lady, let's go.
Did you later learn that Charles had been killed from seeing something on TV?
I was watching TV in December, I believe, and his picture came on the screen, and it said that he was dead.
When you learned that in December, that he had been killed, did you learn when that had happened? Did you try to investigate?
I did. They said the date, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's right about when I went out with him. And so I went to my phone and thought I probably had deleted our text conversations. If I'm not dating someone, I text, I usually delete the thread, but I had not. And I had the conversations, and then I realized that I was with him until 10:45 that night and that he died at 7:30-ish the next morning.
And did you later then talk with the police in April of 2020 to tell them what you knew about this case?
I did.
Thank you. The state has no other questions.
Cross.
Zach, too soon. Too soon. Good thing you've used all up your timeouts all up for the year.
Nancy Joe, right?
Correct.
And we have not met before,
We have
correct?
not?
Okay. And you stated that your husband, or my husband, told you that he was going through a divorce. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And did you have any way to verify that?
No, I didn't try to verify that.
Okay. So did it surprise you later to find out that we were not in the process of a divorce?
Charles was in the process of a divorce.
He was not in the process of a divorce. Did it surprise you to find that out? You've seen it all on TV where we're not getting divorced.
Okay.
So on the website that you met him, did he say he was divorced?
I'm not certain.
Would you have gone on a date with him if he would have said he was married?
If I would have realized how married he still was, maybe not. But I just met for dinner. I wasn't sleeping with him or anything.
Do you go on dates with married men?
I'm going to
Not
object
naturally?
argumentative. I'm going to also object under 611 for harassment.
All right. I'll sustain the objection.
Your Honor, do I not have a right to cross-examine this witness for what she has already testified to?
You can cross-examine her about what she's testified to.
So you did go on a date with a married man,
I went on a date with Charles.
but you did not know he was married.
I knew his divorce was not final.
His divorce was not started.
Okay.
Okay. So in your text messages, you asked Charles if he was a good kisser. Is that correct?
Maybe, sure.
Did he answer that text message?
I'm
gonna
sure.
object to
I'm sure he did.
relevance. Again, 611 harassment.
I'll sustain the objection for relevance and hearsay.
So are you trying to tell me and this jury that you went on one date with my husband and he told you all the details of our lives?
I'm telling you the truth, and that's what I know.
So you spent your whole date getting to know each other, talking about me.
Don't flatter yourself. No, we did not spend the whole time talking about you.
You knew a lot about me, right?
I knew what I've testified to.
What else did you talk about on your date?
Lots of things.
Like what, for instance?
Life, kids, the church, lots of things.
Okay. Did he tell you about anything about our other 4 children?
Yes,
So you knew that we did have 5 children as well?
I did.
Okay. Did he talk to you about my daughter Tylee?
He did.
Did he talk about his relationship with her?
I don't recall that.
Did he talk about the contention in his relationship with my daughter Tylee?
I don't recall that.
I'm sure you don't.
I'm going to object to comments by the defendant made after questions testifying.
I'll sustain the objection.
On your date, you talked about my husband was a life insurance salesman. Is that correct?
I knew he did something with money and insurance, but I really didn't know the details of what he did for work. Like I said, I don't ask the details about what someone does for work when I'm trying to get to know someone.
But you knew that he sold life insurance. You stated that.
I believe that I had a vague understanding that he did something with insurance.
And then he brought that up again at dinner.
No, we didn't talk about his work at dinner.
I thought you said you did talk about, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you did talk about that he changed the life insurance policy at dinner.
Well, you were asking me if we talked about that he sold insurance, which that didn't happen. But yes, he did tell me that he changed the beneficiary of his life insurance policy at dinner.
Did he tell you how much his life insurance policy was for?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
$1 million.
Did he tell you how much my life insurance policy was for?
I do not recall.
You don't recall?
We didn't talk about you very much in that vein.
When did you talk to him about me very much then? If it wasn't at dinner, was it in your text messages?
We were talking about what he was going through in the process of separating from you, not about what your life insurance policy was worth. And we talked about you on the phone. And when I say you, meaning what he was doing as he was going through this separation.
So let me understand. You were dating some different men on this website, right? From the websites.
Sure.
Would you say it was common for men to be talking so much about their supposed ex-wives during their conversations with a potential?
It's actually very common.
Really?
Really.
Interesting.
And again, Your Honor, I'm
Right.
going to object to the defendant making comments after her questions.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I won't do that again.
All right, please stop.
I'll just ask the questions.
Thank you.
So there were some text messages between you and my husband after the dinner on July 10th. Is that correct?
Correct.
What time would those text messages have occurred?
After dinner,
What time?
10:45-ish.
10:45 to what?
I'm not certain, ma'am. After dinner.
10:45 to midnight, maybe?
I just told you I don't know. Maybe.
What did you discuss in those text messages?
And I'm going to object to relevance again. If there's a specific area.
Sustained.
You testified a minute ago that Charles told you a lot of things about his wife. You didn't say ex-wife, but you said wife. Is that correct?
Okay, sure.
What were a lot of things?
The things that I've testified to.
Can you be more specific?
Am I allowed to do a narrative then?
Let's go on sidebar.
This has finally gotten good. Oh my gosh, I was falling asleep. This is amazing. Hey, MLS. Yes, it just got good. Finally. She is not rattling this witness at all. This witness is handing it right back to her, and I love it. I love it. But that is kind of weird conversation to have of a on a first date. Oh, by the way, I changed my beneficiary of my life insurance policy, and it's $1 million. Like, I'm not buying that one. She knows it, but I'm not buying it. Oh my gosh. And Lori can't stop. She can't stop. I muted you guys so you don't have to hear the white noise. I'll just wait till they go to lunch. Wow. That woman looks just like, just despises Lori. Not that she doesn't deserve some of it. But she can't stop with the commentary. Judge told her yesterday, stop it. And she's like, okay, I will. And then she does not. She says sorry. She's not.
Have the jury wait for a few minutes. We'll see if we can finish this witness as we go into the lunch hour. But I'll excuse the jury for just a few minutes because we're having technical difficulty with the court reporter being able to hear.
You missed the best part so far. Wow. You got to go back and watch Lori's cross of this witness. It's not very long. And it's great. Yeah, don't flatter yourself.
All right, please be seated. The jury is no longer present. The last question the defendant asked of the witness was along the lines of, what things did you discuss about me, meaning the defendant? Is that correct?
That's what I
Yes.
recall, Your Honor.
Are you sure you wanted to answer that question? Because you're opening up a really big door. If you wanted to answer the question, I'll answer the question.
How am I supposed to know what a lot of things are?
All right, if you wanted to answer the question and there's no objection from the state, we'll
No
bring the
objection.
jury back in and have her answer the question. All right, let's bring the jury in.
Maybe they'll get it done before you drive out of service. Oh, that's it? Wait, I thought he said they were bringing the jury back in. What's up, Adair? I was wondering where you were because I'm like, hey, you you were talking about this trial. Get in here. Snow and you can't ride your motorcycle. That's it for now? Okay. Oh, I see people. All right. Not that I don't believe you guys. I just got to check for myself because, you know. Alrighty then. We shut that down. I'm so excited. We finally got some excitement in this trial. Oh, Gabby didn't tell you a dare time. Well, I kind of messed with it too because I had it set for 2:30 and then I changed it to 2:40 because Eileen over there in the elected chair was running a little later than I thought, and then she didn't even get the elected chair. She got the Beulah injection. That was exciting. Don't know what happened there. Rule number 1 through 12: don't trust chat. All right, guys, that was awesome. Like I said, I'm just waiting for she was I can't even get through chat. She was like, beach, please. And Lori's been coming in hot today. She came in with some attitude. Wow. Okay. All right. I'm gonna you're not gonna see me tomorrow. You're gonna see me in like when are they coming back? Oh, Flashbang, are you out? You got places to be tonight. You won't be in here timing people out. Yeah, I wouldn't want to know. I thought her hair was looking pretty blonde too. How soon is soon? They're usually gone for like until like 4:30 our time, my time, 3:30 your time. Is that what Court TV says? Because it's Law Crime doesn't have it. I want to go eat some dinner. My stomach's growling. Dinner, I don't care. I was behind, but they are also a 30-minute delay. Court TV will tell me the answer, Zach. I'll get it from them. Court is on lunch break. All right. I'm going to go eat real quick. I'll be back. It's on a lunch break. Don't say what time they're coming back. I'll be back at 5. I will set this up real quick. Then gonna go grab a bite. Gonna go feed my dogs. You vote HA's hair. Thank you. My hair does not have a big high ponytail in it. Sorry. All right. We'll be here till they're done tonight in a while. And then I think if Zach doesn't time me out, I am probably going to go over and see what's happening with Expert on his celebration stream. So, all right. Be back in an hour. I'll see you guys then.